Okay, awesome, awesome. And there's a lot that you were kind of like referring to that probably went over some people's heads. So, like when it comes to crypto, NFTs, AI, how does that all play a role with like where music's going in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's two problems right now with traditional music industry, and that's why it takes so long, and that's why people lose so much money. And that's kind of like the transparency and speed of things. So you've already kind of like heard like Spotify artists, like you got to get millions and millions of views to get barely any money. I think it's 0.003 cents. I think is how much an artist gets paid per stream. I think. Shout out Session Cruise. If I'm right on that statistic, it's because Session Cruise is always saying that from Demia. But it's very difficult, and the artists have no say in that. And who knows if that's how much they're actually getting paid? There's so many middlemen. There's no transparency, you know? So like with the blockchain, it's direct like consumer to consumer, you know, as me as an artist, and you say you're like a fan of mine and you want to like purchase a beat or, you know, anything, you can get that directly from me. And that cryptocurrency goes directly to my wallet. That NFT goes directly to your wallet. There's no middlemen. There's nobody taking stuff out. Everything happens very, very fast. It's very cheap to do that transaction. And then that kind of is like that business part. You know, there's always like two sides of the industry. There's the business and then like the actual art. And then on the art side, the artist is protected because now you have a verifiable token of whatever it is that you have. You know, it could be a picture, a video, a song, you know, whatever that token represents. That's what me and you agree on what it is. So that's kind of like what a metadata is your metadata explains what that token is. So it protects the artist. It allows the artist to protect their intellectual property. So say if I released a song, you know, and it's like it's a bop, you know what I'm saying? I make hot fire Dylon, but it doesn't really get a lot of traction, you know? But say if somebody sees that and they download it and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking, you know, re-release this type vibe, and say it blows up. I can go back and go, whoa, 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 like that was my beat. You can check it out here. You can check by the date when it was minted. You can check in the metadata that I said it's not for recreation or reproduction. So what you did, you don't have the right to do. And right now, the music scene, the crypto scene, all that's so early. So we really haven't seen that like legality take place. But once these systems get figured out, like legally, and like guidelines and registration or restrictions get put into place or regulation, these things are going to become a lot more easier. You know, instead of having to hunt down Vanilla Ice for taking Queen sample, you know what I'm saying? Now
Mm-hmm.
we can even do that on like the small scale level. So I would say it protects the artist's IP, and it also allows the artist and the business to get paid.
Okay, awesome. And there's so interesting first, and there's a couple of things that you've been touching on within NFTs, and then we'll kind of jump over to AI because AI is I feel like his
It's
own thing
right.
is yeah.
It's a
So
it's a monster
yeah, so let's stay
in
on
a good way.
NFTs. Yeah, let's stay on NFTs for a second. Which first, if you don't know what NFT is, it stands for a non-fungible token. It's a form of cryptocurrency that just basically means something unique was put on the blockchain. And you know, there's a deeper explanation on it, but I think that's just the way to look at it right now. So you first were talking about, you know, creating an NFT for, you know, some of the behind the scenes aspect of the music industry where say I'm a music producer or I create a beat and you know I want to collab with someone, they're like, okay, I'll pay you this much for the beat. We can put into the metadata, you know, the basic breakdowns of the ownership, publishing, masters, da 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 da, and you know you have that type of collaboration. So you can first do NFT creation like that where you're doing like the creation of the art and the creation of the music, and you know this is like transferring stems. However, you can also kind of use NFTs as a more how Tory Lanez did it once, where he dropped his song for $1 and, 1 million people bought it instantly. He made $1 million selling his music almost like he was selling a CD.
Exactly.
In the day. So, can you kind of give your insights on the difference between the two, the importance of both kind of approaches to using NFTs, one for the business side of things of the collaboration, one for just dropping music, and just the overall impact of all that from your perspective?
Absolutely, man. And yeah, as we kind of see this, landscape mature, because people always refer to like a wild west, which it still is a little bit, but it's cooled down in the market conditions. When there's money flying everywhere, people act all crazy. So now people are kind of realizing like what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, being able to sell a song for $1 versus expecting to sell a song for $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like you've seen these headlines of crazy news articles, but it makes it just so much easier, because once again, there's even like a third perspective too. There's the business, the artist, and the fan, right? The fan isn't left out of this, right? The fan isn't left out of this conversation either, which is beautiful. So for the business, we'll start with 1, 2, 3. We'll get the business out of the way first. Hate talking about business. It makes it so easy because, like you said, Tory Lanez selling 1 million copies. That can go directly to his wallet. That's something that you can verify on the blockchain because it's a public transaction. So these are all real things. On streaming, even those could be bots listening, getting fake views. There could be bots leaving fake comments. So having an actual public ledger to verify these transactions also is like a valuable metric to have, because even on like, I believe it's Netflix, if you release like a special on Netflix, for example, I don't think they'll give you an exact metric of how many people actually viewed through Netflix. They'll just tell you it went really good. Like it was good. And you're like, but how good, but don't worry, like it was good. So there are medias that like hide that type of information, so you even as an artist being able to say like, hey, I sold 500,000 copies independently, right? Now say you do approach like a Def Jam, for example. Record labels are not bad. I want to get that out the way now. A lot of people believe that all record labels are bad and evil because people get screwed over. It's true. People get screwed over because they don't understand the business. So that business tries to take as much as from you unless you tell them no. So if you approach, Death Row Records, instead of being a brand new artist, approaching them with like a tape and being like, yeah, like this shit's hot. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, it actually is pretty hot. Like, let's sign them up. You know what I'm saying? They could, and I'm sorry for using Death Row in this example. Please don't come for me. I love y'all and I'm a fan. But like
shout in this, he just bought it. It's not shout out Snoop.
Snoop Lion, my dog, Snoop dog. But in this example, that record label may want to take as much from that artist as possible, strictly due to business purposes, which is making the most money for their company. But through blockchain now, if you would have approached that same record label and said, hey, as an independent, I sold 500,000 copies, and you can check that out here. All of a sudden, you kind of have pushing power in this negotiation because you have something that you can verify on the blockchain. And now you can say, since I've made all this money, maybe I don't need to take money from you, which is how a lot of artists lose in these record labels, is they'll take money like a signing bonus or a record bonus, or, like a
really
budget for the record. Yeah. And it's treated as a loan because artists don't understand that they have to pay that back. You think, oh, I got 100 G's, I'm signed, I'm balling. And then you go spend 85 on a car, you know what I'm saying? You go spend 10 on jewelry. All of a sudden you're at square one, having to make a record and do all that work and still not having a sustainable income. And then once that pops, even if you're getting moderate traction, you still may not see any returns from that record until that record has accumulated whatever the initial investment was. So if you took out 100 grand, that record has to earn back 100 grand until you start earning anything. And then that shit split every other way. You got to pay every other engineer, master engineer, distribution. You know what I'm saying? That's where it never stops. So that's the business end. Cryptocurrency kind of protects the artist once again and makes these numbers more transparent. You can see these things. You can see the viewership, the fan base, where the money goes. And then, like you said, for collaboration, dude, if we want to drop tracks 50-50 all day, you know what I'm saying? Shit, like if it's like you're that super hot fire bro, a 70-30, you know what I'm saying? I just want the privilege of working with you. You know what I'm saying? Like it is like whatever. So like when it comes to these like new like things we can program automatically, we don't even have to like worry about that anymore. You know what I'm saying? It all comes down to making the dopest music possible, getting it out there, having fun, because every single time someone purchases our track, 70 cents to you, 30 cents to me. I'm fine with that, baby. Let's push it all day. You know what I'm saying? And even as Tory Lane's producer, if they're selling 1 million copies and his producer or his engineers, if he's got an engineering team, even if they get 10%, 20%, I'm sure that they're fine with that direct cut instead of playing that whole industry music game, you know? So I kind of talked about the artist and the business there. That last piece is the fan. And I love talking about the fans, man, because this is where it gets fun. A lot of things is like, I remember back in the day when I was a super fan, I always love kind of in like thinking either in the past or in the future, because it kind of helps me judge where we're at or where we're going. Back in the day when I was a super fan, I stumbled across Bass Hunter. I don't know if y'all have heard of Bass Hunter. He's the one that did the song Dota back in the day of like Dota 1. And this song was like a bop, you know what I'm saying? And I remember just being like in middle school, just researching Bass Hunter. I was like, oh, his name's Johan. He lives in like Sweden, you know what I'm saying? Just doing all this super fan stuff, bragging to my friends about it, sharing my music. They love it. They're sharing with their friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what super fans do. But if I had a way back in the day to mint like a Bass Hunter Dota NFT to listen to in my wallet, I can verify that I was a fan of his since like way back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And
Not just say it.
right. And just that alone is fun. Being able to like kind of like shout out the Clout Finder. It's like, bro, you got that clout, boom, find it. Been a fan since day one. Literally. You can verify that on the blockchain. That stuff's just fun. And then like as an artist, now you can reward your super fans, because before
100%.
there was never that connection. I never knew my day ones. Now I can look back who got it on the day one and say, if, you know, throughout my journey, say you mint 5 of my tracks, shoot, I can airdrop you some free art. I can airdrop you an exclusive track that only these holders get. Say if you go to a show of mine and I give you a POAP, which is a proof of attendance, you know, you go to my shows, a lot of people hold on to ticket stubs. I mean, bro, I got a movie stub from Fast and Furious 1 still. Like, I just found it because of like the memories of going out with my friends watching Fast and Furious 1. Like, I saved the ticket, you know? With an NFT and on blockchain and crypto, you can save that ticket in a digital form so you don't lose it, so it doesn't wear out. And say if you collect, or you go to 5 of my shows, right? And you get 5 of these ticket stubs from each show to prove that you were there. Maybe I bring you out to an exclusive show, you know, because I know that you've been to 5 of my shows. Shoot, I'm going to throw a private one to my most, you know, viewing holders, or the ones that, you know, my diehard fans. It opens this whole new door of like, I don't want to say rewarding fans, because with rewards come expectations, you know, but there's a whole opportunity of a new interaction. Yeah, a new relation, a new interaction, engagement, you know, and that's just like exciting. That's fun.